Hey guys, welcome to Grounded Roots Healing. I'm Jason, and I want to talk about getting picked last as a spiritual light worker, let's say, and how prevalent that is. But first, I want to thank everyone for subscribing. I'm now at 306, which is great. It's moving up slowly and gathering people of like minds, which are very hard to find, which will go into my talk here, my little speech. If you could please subscribe below. Anyone watching this, if you haven't subscribed already, please click the button below and comment. It really does help me grow and continue to do this stuff. I haven't made any money off of this yet, and I hope to in the future, at least. That's an aspiration. But if we don't get people to click on subscribe, then it's going to take a lot longer. So I figured I better start asking. It's just a reminder. If you don't resonate with this stuff, there's no point clicking on subscribe anyway. You'll think I'm crazy. To that point, getting picked last. Now, I had to edit out a fair bit of my video yesterday because of this coughing fit, and I am not over this chest cold yet. So that may happen as well. I'll just give you a quick warning. And you'll see from the video I spliced in at the front that I went for a walk today, which was wonderful. I had a little campfire, boiled up a tea, which is something I just absolutely love to do and wish I could do constantly, because I'm at complete peace when I'm doing this stuff. As in, I don't have anyone else's energy around me interfering with mine, and I can clear my head and get grounded, and it's absolutely my go-to, say, spiritual practice. My daily spiritual practice is part of it. Still have the wool jacket on, natural materials. So getting picked last, getting left out, getting overlooked. This has happened my entire bloody life. This has absolutely been a pandemic in my life. It's endemic. It's happened in every single way you can think of. It's happened with teachers, with the other kids, with parents of other kids. It still happens to this day. And I have struggled with this. By the way, my hair is probably a mess as I was walking around with a toucan, wool cap, and, your hair gets messy. But this has happened my entire life. No exaggeration. Like, teachers from the day one to when I started going to school would isolate me based on my personality, I guess. I did have some learning disabilities, which come with autism, like dyslexia. It's mild, it's not crippling, and I did manage to get around it with the help of, well, I figured it out myself pretty much, but what is autism and all that stuff. However, the whole point of this is I was isolated. I was separated. I was pointed out as being less than, except from a handful of really good teachers who recognized that I had potential and abilities, and I wasn't a waste of space like most of them did feel I was. So I was an athletic kid and a very smart kid. But I had some weaknesses, which, that was just a way for them to like I said, isolate me. It was an avenue in. Then it started with the other kids. That started from day one. It's like you just couldn't make them like you. Didn't matter how nice you were. The nicer you were, the worse it was, in fact. This isn't just bullies. This is just like the kids in general. Like your friend group, you would get not called to go do certain things for some reason, and you couldn't figure out why. Or your friends' parents didn't want you to hang around with their children because you were the bad influence. I still laugh at that one because you had to know that situation, but I certainly wasn't the bad influence. Or, you know, I grew up extremely poor, so if you wanted to go to sporting events and compete in sports, you needed to rely on other kids' parents. And often, they wouldn't take you. They'd list, because maybe you were better than their son, and you know, if they took you, you would outcompete their son and they'd lose their spot on the team or whatever it was. And I was athletic, so this standing out, this has happened my whole life, and not in a good way. I'm not saying this in a conceited way here. This has been hell. It's not fun to never be included in things. It very much is not fun. Now, everything happens for you. So it's gotten me thinking about, why does this still happen to this day? Why does this still happen to me? And if it's happening for me, what's the lesson here? So I can bloody well learn the lesson and then, you know, figure out how to make it not happen anymore, I guess, or just be okay with the way it is. And you know, for the most part, I've learned how to be a loner. That wasn't initially what I wanted, but it was a much better place to be, by yourself in the woods. So I ran to the woods. I spent my entire childhood in the forest, escaping essentially people, because I just couldn't figure them out. I just could not figure out how to make anyone happy or like me, for that matter. Which, you know, and I do have a good handle on what it is. I think what the whole cause of all of that is, and what I'm supposed to take from it. So I know that my vibration is high. I vibrate higher than most people. And I do things that normal people would not normally do, like give unconditionally and not ask for anything in return. So this kind of thing, it sounds like, okay, you're great, that's wonderful, you should do that stuff. But if most of the people don't do this, and you're the one doing it, you stand out. And people look at you suspiciously. They look at you like you've got some sort of agenda. I have no agenda, I swear. I don't want anything in return. I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart. I give out of the kindness of my heart, without expecting anything in return. When I first moved to Calgary, when I first got my first job in the oil field, I was working downtown. On my way to work every day, it was the first time I ever encountered homeless people. And I was going to go broke because I was giving away all my money. And I couldn't stand to see someone like that. It really bothers me to see someone else hurting and struggling. So I often tried to help people to my own detriment. Now, this wasn't to get praise from anyone. Nobody even knew I was doing this except my wife, who suggested maybe I stop doing that. And she is right. You can't save the world yourself on a measly salary. You know, I didn't stop completely, but I was a little more choosy about how I distributed my limited extra funds, let's say. So if you're vibrating higher than everyone else, again, this is not out of conceit here. This has caused me a lot of problems in my life. You're going to stand out. And what you're going to do is you're going to trigger the parts of them that are unhealed. The part of you that does that gives unconditionally and not looking for anyone to see you, but say someone did see you do that, it triggers something in them because they maybe wouldn't do that. And their unhealed ego that's guarded gets aggravated. And instead of looking inward and seeing out why that behavior that I just did triggers you to get angry with me for being kind to someone, you get angry at me. You don't look inward and figure out why you get angry at me. And so I'm shining a light on the parts of you that aren't healed. And most people, nobody likes that. Nobody likes it. Now, that's the outward things that I'm doing that are triggering this. But just being in your presence will do it as well. Simple conversations or body language will make you know that I don't agree with the way you're assessing the situation. And I cut very deeply with the sword of truth. So I'm not one to be ungenuine and fake. So it's very unpalatable for me to sit around and listen to someone talk like that. Now, I'm not doing it on purpose, but if you're in your ego and you're, I don't know, let's say gossiping or something, I won't participate. And I may look like I'm judging you. I don't know. Or you will feel it from my energy that I just don't want to do that. It's distasteful for me. And then you got to look in again and figure out, why isn't he participating? Why doesn't he want to talk about this person disparagingly? And it triggers your ego again. And so, not that I'm a completely healed person. I'm not. This part of me needs to be healed. The fact that I've noticed this and it still bothers me to this point in my life. At 48 years old, still being left out bothers me. But it remains a problem. It doesn't matter how old you are. If your ego is unhealed and you are not able to look at yourself and those unhealed parts of you, your ego is going to get angry and it's going to lash out at me. Or it's going to make you feel bad so that you don't want to be around me. So what it ends up being is you don't like the way I make you feel. You might like the initial, my energy. You may want to attach yourself to it. You may want to harvest it. But as I start shining a light on the unhealed parts of you and your demons, then you don't want me around. And it's a catch-22, you know? People who are healed absolutely love me. And the problem is there are so few. Like, there's just so few. I'm on my way. I'm on this path, and there's just so few. You know, this has been even the same challenge that Amanda and I have had in our personal relationship. Like, she's triggered her parts of her behavior are triggering my ego, and my ego's triggering her ego. So we've had to learn how to manage this. And this is in a close married relationship where we talk about everything. And it still is an issue, but it's far less of an issue now. because we both understand how this works, and we both approach it from that perspective of it's not your fault. What happened there? What happened to cause that ego to flare up? Let's say. So, I'm not saying this to make anyone feel bad. I don't want that. I don't want anything from anyone, to be honest. I just kind of want to be left alone, and it's exhausting. And it's kind of sad. It's still to this point that it actually happens, You even have spiritual people that are on this path that are threatened, that their unhealed parts of themselves get triggered by whatever. The fact that Amanda and I can look at this way might trigger people. The fact, all the things that I just explained, it still happens even though they're spiritual people. If they don't immediately recognize what's happening and approach it from that perspective, then it starts to wear. And you may have an instance where you get two people who are on the path that are, their egos and their unhealed demons are triggered by you, and they'll lean on each other in order to justify the behavior. So instead of looking at what I'm triggering in you, you go to another person who is triggered in the similar way, and you complain about me, and then you don't include me. Now, if you're watching this and you feel like I'm talking about you specifically, maybe take a look. Because what's happening there is I'm touching on something that's happening with you. I'm touching on the behavior. It's not your fault. It's your ego. But it is happening. Now, the trick here is to not get angry at me for pointing it out. To look at it and to heal it. To shine a light on it. Come on, let's go. There's so many good people in this world, and being able to see through all their bullshit is not a great thing. It doesn't make you super popular, let's put it that way. 5, 4, 3, 2 on the clock. So, I've never been popular. Never. I've been liked. I've had good friends, but eventually my mask will drop, and as I pretend to be a certain way, my mask, like I said, my mask will drop, and then my true self will come out, and it will trigger something in you, and then you will drift away from me. This has happened my whole life. Non-stop. I guess I'm good in small amounts. And I'm fine with that. I genuinely am. I would love nothing more than to have a small cottage in the middle of a big piece of property where I can spend most of my time with myself and my family and go out sparingly and until people start to get where I am. This goes back to the loneliness, and this is part of it. You want to be a seer. You want to see through people's bullshit, and you want to be able to understand what's wrong with society and yet not be able to do anything about it. And everyone's going to hate you because you can see through their bullshit. You sure you want that? It's not as good a path as you think it is. I mean, I hope, and I have seen, using my clairvoyance, that this is going to change, that people are going to start waking up, and they're going to start healing themselves, and then I will be less of an irritant, let's say, to their demons, because they won't have them. So they'll see me for who I really am, and things will get better for me in a societal sense. And I pray that that's the case, and that it happens bloody well soon, because this is exhausting, like I said. The not getting included, and the not getting thought of, and then pushed away. It's getting old. But at least I have my wife and my family, and I can always escape to the woods. So, like I always say, I hope this video finds you well. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow.